Hey folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Yash Dubal's Book Club. The book we are reviewing today is Catalyst by Chandramouli Venkatesan. Very nice book. Let's find out what is part of this book on the other side of this video. So, point number one, growth over promotion. Focusing on professional and personal growth matters way more than obsessing over titles or raises. Point number two, experience does not equal to time. Contrary to popular belief, when we ask someone how much of an experience do you have in this field, they would just count the number of years they spent working in that field. But then the author put a very interesting point. It's like if I ask you today how much experience do you have in walking, would you say your age? Probably not, because then walking is not counted as an experience because it is like it's a thing which you do on a daily basis. You do not pay much attention to it. So similarly, even for work, experience is not equal to time. And what counts as an experience? Active learning. Point number three, TMRR model. So the author says convert time into experience by TMRR, which means targeting, measuring, reviewing, and reflecting on your work. Point number four, choose deep learning cycles. Seek involvement in major projects or transformations. They act as catalysts for accelerated growth. The fifth point, first versus the second half. Success in early career does not guarantee success later. Prepare early for complex strategic roles ahead. The sixth point, mentors matter. A mentor, not just a manager, accelerates growth by challenging your thinking and expanding your perspective. The seventh point, this is one of my favorite. Focus on influence. Prioritize work in your circle of influence. Avoid time wasted in factors outside your control, which is the circle of concern. Most people feel that they know their priorities. They know what is important. However, they mistakenly assume that just because they know what is important, they know how to prioritize. This is a myth. It is more likely that you know what is important, what your rocks are, but the bulk of most of your time and energy is still spent on sand. The eighth point, leadership equation. It is a very simple equation and a very nicely put. So leadership impact equals, in a bracket, position plus content, bracket closed, multiplied by values. So what does that mean? Strong values amplify influence. Given a rough similarity between position and content, values were the extraordinary drivers of leaders' followership and influence. A 50% influence in content can cause some influence in leadership, but even 10% less in values can create a much bigger swing in leadership. The ninth point, striving hobbies. Passionate, competitive pursuit build resilience. The author talks of hobbies like marathon, cycling, because they bring in discipline and achievement drive outside work. The 10th point, delay gratification. Success often hinges on timing. Patience and strategic persistence beats short-term gains. And finally, the last point, you are not as good as your best success. You are not as bad as your worst failure. With that, I end this book review. I'll see you in the next one.
He does not talk about this box because this is like others doing wrong and us doing wrong. So that's very rare in the sense that these are those embezzlers and people, or these are the wrong group of people basically, right? And they are the ones who probably would not be reading this book. So he's not focused on this. So he called them the deviants. Then he talks about majority honesty. what does he mean by this? This one, he says that others are doing right and I'm also doing right. So when others do right and I do right, it becomes majority honesty, because it just makes sense that yeah, it's the right thing to do. And then he puts majority honesty here as well. And now you must be like, how can that be majority honesty when others are doing wrong and I'm also doing wrong? So it's interesting. He gave an example of a traffic light whereby it's a red light, but since others are going, I might as well go and pass. I mean, it becomes easy for my brain to say that, okay, since many people are doing it, it's not something wrong. And that's why, again, it falls under majority honesty. But the most difficult part is this one, pristine honesty. And why is it difficult? It is difficult because do I do right when others are doing wrong? And that's the question we need to ask ourselves. If we are doing right, even if others are doing wrong, then we fall under this pristine honesty. That's the best box to be in.